So today's trivia, if you want to save seeds from your cultivation, is it from the first set of harvest or from the last set of harvest? From your first set of harvest or from the last set of harvest? Okay, thank you for your responses. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. First set, first set, first set. Best from the first set. That's okay. So we will talk about seed and then the features of quality seed, choosing our seed, and see if we can get to nursery preparation techniques for tonight. Welcome to the 100-Day Tomato Challenge Masterclass. For those who are just joining the previous classes, the recordings are on your dashboard. You can always access them, go through them, and should you have any inquiry, please feel free to ask. Moving forward, we all know what a seed is, and basically it's a simple explanation. Seed is whatever you use for your plant propagation. It could be vegetatively propagating material as a seedling, or it could even be a seed. So at this point also, I have another trivia. Can tomato be propagated vegetatively, or it is only through seed? Can you cultivate tomato vegetatively, or it's only through seed? That's true seed. All right.
Yes, sir. It can be planted vegetatively.
It can be planted vegetatively. Okay. This is great. So, tomato indeed can be propagated vegetatively. It can also be propagated through seed. The most popular method is through seed. And then if you go into disease, when you hear, oh, this variety is resistant, is tolerant, is this, is that, some of the means by which it is achieved is by propagating it vegetatively. But then that's just an aside. We're doing this just to expand our horizon and know what we have in store. Moving forward, how do we choose our seed? Seed quality. Important in achieving food security and maximizing crop production is high quality seed. In fact, I usually say having high quality seed assures you of a 15% increase in your yield in whatever endeavor you have put in crop production. Once you have quality seeds, any human endeavor that anybody wants to do, the aim is to minimize cost and to maximize profit. Therefore, for tomato production, it is not an exception. What we want to do is to ensure that we have the best of seeds. And so, when you have a poor quality seed, before I go to the features of quality seed, when you have a poor quality seed, you are sure that you will have a very low yield. And that's because those are seeds that maybe are gotten from leftover plants at the end of the production season. And that's why I'm very happy when the question was asked that if you want to save seed, is it from the first set of harvest or from the last set? Remember, everybody wants to maximize profit. So you're looking at these fruits that you have the first flush. I mean, if this enters the market, you command a good price. But then if you want to save seeds, just like we are saying that we want to end tomato scarcity in Nigeria. We want to ensure tomato is available whenever we need it. So if you're going to save seeds, it is best saved from your first and second flush of harvest. That gives you the best seeds that you can obtain because your plants are physically and physiologically matured. But if you wait till the end of the production season, the plants are already physiologically weak. It's like saying a 90-year-old man and a 20-year-old guy should come and run 100 meters. Unless that young boy is suffering from a disease, there is no way the 90-year-old man will win him in a 100 meters race. So if you wait till the end of the production season, then you are already selecting fruits that will give you low quality seeds. So let us all note that. One of the advantages if we have high quality seeds is that we get uniform growth, you get robust plants, you have better resistance to environmental stresses. I repeat, one of the advantages if we select high quality seeds, you get uniform growth, you get maximum yield, robust plants, better resistance to environmental stress. And how will you know? How will you determine you are getting a seed of good quality? Please, again, I repeat, if in the course you feel any ambiguity, please feel free to mention it. So, crop yield, one. We said why it's better for you to choose high quality seed. The first impact will always be on your yield. When you enter a field and you see robust plants, you're definitely sure these guys will give you good yield. When you have some seeds, you will see some rust on them, some you see some black dots on them. Those seeds are already deceased. So, of course, once, just like in those days when computer came in, you hear garbage in, garbage out. Uniformity, you won't see one plant that is already flowering and another is just at the vegetative state. Another thing, and this is why we are talking about organic tomato cultivation. A key thing in this masterclass is we are focusing on organic tomato cultivation. The reason being we are looking at minimizing cost and maximizing profit. Everyday materials that we have around us that we can use for our production and also for sustainability. By using high quality seeds, I can assure you that you will require fewer chemical inputs, assuming all other factors are present. So you can still produce high yields, but nowadays we are talking about the carbon footprint, climatic CO2, increasing the carbon emission, that all these things that we are doing. So when you use fewer chemical inputs, you are reducing your overall environmental footprint. And what does that do? That even conserves the resources in your soil and protects your environment. For those of us you are used to using herbicides, you will find out after a while your land begins to lose its fertility. And that's why any field that you increasingly apply herbicides, for it to produce, you will have to heavily apply chemical fertilizers. One other advantage of quality seeds is that you typically have a longer shelf life because they maintain their viability for extended periods. So, for example, you save your seeds and then you don't want to plant immediately, or perhaps you wanted to plant, something came up, you need to extend the time for you to plant for some time. Those seeds will still maintain their viability. And like I said, what are the benefits of quality seed? Increased yield, lower input cost. Imagine someone who is buying chemical herbicides, is buying fertilizer. I think a bag of NPK now is in the range of 50, 60, if I'm not mistaken. So compared to someone using kitchen waste, your fruits, your plant waste, and all that. So you are the vulnerability to crop failure is reduced because quality seeds are less prone to crop failure. So this reminds me of a time when we were in Kano, and I met a farmer who had some, his field was infested and the guy just had a stroke. He got to the field and we saw the man, and I was like, why is this sick man on the field? They said, no, this is his field. He got to the field and the whole place was deceased. So there's an emotional stress that is associated with crop loss. If you have ever made any loss in farming, you would know what I'm talking about. There's it's not just financial, it's also emotional. And quality seeds also improve your soil health. Not many people know this, but I mentioned this in passing yesterday when I said um, I got a place where the soil fertility was low, and I didn't want to start by applying fertilizer. And what I did was to first plant some crops. And at the end of the day, by the time I was harvesting that first set, the soil there was already turning to loamy. It was 80-20%. It was sandy loam. But by the time we harvested the first set and we turned over the soil and we began turning it over and turning it over, we found out the percentage of loam soil there had increased. So what happens? The roots of the plants have interacted with the soil. Nitrogen has been fixed via beneficial microbial activity in the soil. And so the soil regenerated itself and made it more fertile. So those are some of the advantages of quality seed. Now I want to go to, how do we determine this seed is of high quality? Determining seed quality is very crucial in selecting the right seeds for your farming operations. Like I said earlier on at the beginning of today's class, having high quality seeds assures you of 15% yield increase than having low quality seed. One of those factors you will consider when you are assessing seed quality is your germination rate. The second one is the purity. Another one is vigor. Another one is disease resistance. Let me stop at those four for now. Germination rate. This indicates the percentage of seeds that will successfully sprout under ideal conditions. By the time we move on to nursery preparation, that's another aspect entirely. But if all those factors are well done, and then you sow your seed, the germination rate will let you know how, of what quality your seed lot is. So if you have 90% germination, then you can say you have a good high quality seed. That 9 out of every 10 seeds will definitely germinate. But if you are having 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% germination, that tells you this quality state of those seeds. Another one is the purity of the seeds. Um, Again, I won't mention name, but there's a brand that I think I had to start telling people who come to request on what to buy that please don't buy this brand for this particular crop. We bought for a client one time and it had 10% germination. You're buying a seed for 50 grams at 80,000 and you only had 10% germination. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. So another thing you must look out for is purity. This this is when you are processing your seed, you want to ensure you don't have dirt, weeds, or even other crop seeds. This is popular. For example, you go to the market to buy some food stuff, and then you're seeing stones in your beans. Some of those things are put there intentionally, unfortunately, because they want the weight to increase. So, and this is why we are talking about choosing your seed. This is important because at times when some seeds are treated, please let's know this. I've experienced this also before. When some seeds are treated, like I said yesterday, the color of the seeds as you expect it won't be what you have because the chemical used in treating them would have changed the color of the seed, but it is still the plant, it is still the crop. Now, if you're not careful, there may have been some other crop seeds inside that pack. This happened to me recently. We got a crop, and by the time we got to the field, it was another crop that was inside. Um, you can imagine how you will feel. So, purity is another way you will be able to determine the seed quality. There will be no contaminants, there will not be other crop species in there. So, but is not when you have seed treatment, please let's not confuse it with seed purity. You know, tomato seeds are will I call it light brownish in color. So you might see some they are pinkish, some they are red. It does not mean it is impure. It's just a seed treatment. Another one is the seed vigor. This you will see in your nursery. Um, when a woman gives birth prematurely, a baby has to be put in an incubator for the baby to be strengthened. The same thing happens to tomato seedlings. This the figure has to do with the health and strength of the seedlings that are produced. So this is different from germination. We are considering the factors that make us to assess seed quality. And I listed some and I'm just expounding on them. I listed germination rate, purity, vigor, disease resistance. And for germination, it's just the number, is the percentage that would sprout after you have sown them. But for vigor, it has to do with the overall health and strength of the seedlings that are produced. When they begin to grow at the 2-leaf stage, the 3-leaf stage, when the stems begin to extend up to 2 cm, 3 cm, 4 cm. If the stems are very, very fragile, then you know it has low vigor. And of course, that will either stay longer in the nursery for it to be able to withstand conditions on the field when you transplant it eventually. So that's another thing for one to note. Of course, another thing is quality seeds tend to resist or tolerate disease more than low quality seeds because of their strong vigor, because of their high germination rate. You don't have to start bombarding it with chemicals to improve the health or the strength of it. So those are things we should know. And so seeds, when you get, once you know all this, then you can choose your seed source. And your seed source can be known and experienced farmers, commercial sellers that are trusted. It's unfortunate, but these are things we have to say. We've seen people remove brands and use other people's brands just to sell seeds. And that's why one of the things I put down is seed rules and regulation. So, but before I go to seed rules, why still on this seed source? Remember, we're talking about organic farming. We're looking at sustainability. We're looking at something that will not bankrupt you. So, for organic tomato production, open pollinated varieties are usually preferred. Now, if I may throw this open, why do you think I have just made this statement that open pollinated varieties are preferred for organic crop production? Please, can anyone? Why do you think open pollinated varieties are preferred for organic tomato production? Yes, I can see some people already typing. If you want to speak, you can also unmute and speak.
What else, sir?
Good evening, Sir Taufik.
I think it helps. It helps.
Because they can be easily generated. Organic in most cases are open field, they reproduce, they give maximum yields. Well, it interests you to know um, 80% of the time hybrids would out yield open pollinated varieties. But if you practice gaps, good agricultural practices, your yields can also contend with it. They're also resistant to most diseases. All right. So thank you all for this. This shows we all have our minds, our soul, our spirit in this. Now, I intentionally mentioned some things earlier about seed treatment. For majority of hybrid seeds, they are already chemically treated. Um, I may not be able to verify this, but every hybrid tomato I have ever purchased, they were chemically treated. If you look at the packs, some will write it there. Now you will recall I mentioned yesterday, of recent they have started removing the F1 brands. So it is the price that will make you know this thing is hybrid. By the time they tell you 5 grams is 25,000 and you're like, for what? Oh, it is hybrid. Usually once you see, for example, pepper, Avenir F1, you know, oh, this is an hybrid. But Some of these things are not done. So for organic farming, your seed source, if you are buying hybrid tomato variety and you open the can or you open the pack, you find out it's already chemically treated. So from the start, your potential for organic production is already knocked out because your starting point has been treated with a chemical. That's one part. The other part is that the cost, just like I said, hybrid seeds are far more expensive. And remember, one of the aims for organic production is sustainability and continuity. So if you get hybrid seeds and you save the seeds from your hybrid production, by your next season, your yield will decrease. But for open pollinated variety, it is not so. So that's why your source of seed for organic tomato production is highly, highly important. If you're going to get it from another farmer, now this is critical. If you're going to get it from another farmer, you must ensure that that farmer that is giving you that seed produced it organically, not that the person produced it using conventional farming. And I I once said at a fora, I think when we were touring Niger Delta states, I told them, if you see the way the tomato is being sprayed with chemicals because of the insecticides, at times you will just feel like not eating again. But that is the way they have known, and that is the solution they know. And remember, there is a gap time if you apply pesticide. This is why at times some of our produce in this part of the world cannot be exported because the residual percentage of these chemicals is still high. For those who do conventional farming, whether it's leafy vegetables or tomatoes, and by the grace of God, these are some of the areas that we will still go on later on by the time we are done with the tomato master class. I know someone asked of this. Oh, what about pepper? What about ugu? What about this? Opportunities are bound that we will go through the right way of cultivating all these things, and we can help one another so we can ensure food security and achieve it for ourselves and for our nation. So when you're getting it from another farmer, you must ensure that you must also ensure that it is disease resistant from wherever you're getting it. So remember, I said yesterday, if anybody can remember, early maturing variety, medium maturing variety, late maturing variety. What are the days? What are the days for early maturing variety? When we're talking about
Early
strategies
maturing
into
is
on
from
this,
55 days to 68 days. Medium is 69 to
wonderful.
79, and late is 80 and upwards.
But I wish I had a minute. I was giving it to you. That's awesome. So oftentimes, the early maturing varieties are best for your organic production. So far, do we have any question? Do we have any question? Now, I like to also say this. Seed treatment, you can also treat your seeds in an organic way. Okay? So, It's not just with chemicals that seeds are treated. I like to mention that. I also like to mention if peradventure you have been doing conventional tomato production or conventional farming and you want to do organic farming, which we are canvassing for because of its sustainability and the advantages of lower cost, maximum yield, um, you must ensure you have what you call a buffer zone. You must ensure you have what you call a buffer zone because now I'm going into seed rules and regulation. And that's an important part that I must continue based on my background. The buffer zone is usually between 7 to 10 meters so that you don't have drift and movement of water from your conventional field to your organic field. So if what is you are taking off from this master class is I'm going to have and develop my own organic tomato farm, and you have been doing conventional before, you must ensure you have a buffer zone of 7 to 10 meters. Now, seed rules. There is an agency that oversees everything that has to do with seed law, seed policy, seed rules and regulation in Nigeria, and that is the National Agricultural Seeds Council. And their work is to encourage, whether it's public or private, to get involved in the development of the Nigerian seed industry. Remember, we are talking that some of us also can be seedling growers, and that's another business opportunity. Aside you cultivating for yourself, for your home, for your family, this is another business angle that is an opportunity for each and everyone to make some money. All seeds produced for marketing in Nigeria, they must be certified. They must be packaged with a seed producer label that carries the information on name and address of producer, the crop, the variety, the purity, the germination percentages. And it must be stated on whether it is treated or not. So we've not yet gotten there yet. But like I said, if I had not experienced it, when people say it, one wouldn't want to believe. So these are the issues that come in terms of seed, and that's why these laws exist. The National Assembly already passed an act in 2019, the Seed Act. The buffer zone, okay. Um, the buffer zone is if you already have a farm where you are applying chemical fertilizer, where you are applying herbicides, where you are applying chemical pesticides, all the cypermethrin and all whatnot. And then you want to start an organic farm where you don't want to use chemicals. What you'll be using as your pesticides, as your herbicides, as your fertilizer are organic, either from kitchen waste, kitchen compost, um, either from the neem pesticide or marigold and all that. You must leave a space. That's what you call the buffer zone. It's just like a border from your conventional field. You must leave a space of 7 to 10 meters. So on your farm, you will leave that space. That will be like the border. So conventional farming, organic farming, what the buffer is. Yes, we will. Yes, we will have direct seeds.
Can't hear you again. I don't know if you're still
Hello.
speaking.
Yes, sorry. I was trying to cut off a call that was coming in. So I believe, okay, thank you, sir. That's gotten on the buffer zone. So I was talking about seed rules and regulation. I just wanted to chip that in for us to know that for those of us who will be going into seedling production, we're not yet there yet, but it's an emerging sector that the National Agricultural Seed Council is already taking up. So we must all know this, not just for tomato, for all crops. For those who are doing cassava, you would have heard about the cassava seed tracker. And that's because I use a catchphrase, there has been many a lie. And so when Natru comes, as Nigerians, we have this reservation in accepting it because of the false um, narratives that have been put ahead. So I need us all to please know that this is why your seed source is important. So you can get from commercial seed companies that are registered. One of the issues that causes increase in disease infestation for crop production are because there are varieties that are not tested in the environment. Some of these, I will call hybrid varieties, they're just brought into the country and then without testing for adaptation. And so they break down due to maybe a pest or a vector carrying a disease, and it begins to spread. So these are things we must note. I wouldn't want to go further into seed rules and regulation because we are doing production, but I just wanted us to mention that. Um, any question on that, please? So in preparing, I think we can go to nursery management. We still have some time, so we can start nursery management as we begin to go deep into our 100-day tomato challenge. And as we have been told, what is open pollination? Please refer to the recording. Yesterday we spoke about this. Just get to your dashboard on the masterclass session. You will see the recording for yesterday's class. Refer to that there. Okay, moving forward. Nursery raising. Um, as we were told, you can raise your nursery on the field by raising nursery beds. You can also use readily available bowls, cups, or potting bags, even bottles. Your bottle water, the bottle, you can just cut it open, fill it with your sowing media, and then you can prepare your nursery with it. So there are several methods by which you can raise your nursery. So let's start today with raising nursery bed. You have a portion on your farm or beside your house or in your garden at the back of your house. You can just prepare a bed of 1 by 3 meter and raise it to a height of about 20 centimeters. We all remember the ruler, it's about 30 centimeters. So just about 10 cm short of that, you can raise your beds and you can sterilize your portion that you want to use for the nursery. How? You can if you have kitchen compost, which we will still talk about, you can use that with it. You can even burn some wood on it. If you have that, if you have farmyard manure, you can put on it. Um, what this does, you can also do field solarization, which was mentioned by Mr. Saka. Please refer to Masterclass 1 um, recordings for more information on that. What this does is to prevent damping off in your nursery. What is damping off? Damping off is the seedlings you have planted. Like I said, we are going to the most basic level for us all to get this. You plant your seedlings and then you just discover they are dying. That's what damping off happens. At times it's due to too much water. Yes, you should get it on your dashboard, but the admin will attend to that should you be having further issues on that. So damping off may be due to too much water or you have a large population. So that also has to do with sowing rate. It's a common disease that affects tomato seedling. They will rot just after emerging from the soil, and it's caused by fungi or fusarium, particularly fusarium fungus. So these are things, okay, these are things we must note. So if you're doing your nursery on the field or you're doing it in a bottle, you must ensure it is not overwatered, because what it does is the seeds will just become, they will just rot and it will emerge. And so when we are talking about the features of quality seed, and we said germination percentage, so this one does not have to do with whether the seed is of high quality or low quality. And that was why when I was talking about that, I mentioned about all other factors being stable. So if you're doing nursery on the field, one of the common diseases is damping off. It's very, very common. Shortly after they come out, after they sprout, is when damping off sets in. So you must ensure that your seedlings are well spaced out when you are sowing them in your nursery, because if not, the seeds will rot and then they will just begin to die off. This can also happen if the soil has a poor drainage system. And that's why I want to implore everybody, ensure you get your hands dirty. Ensure you get your hands dirty. How? Ensure the soil is not clogging, it's not lumping up together. The soil must be loose so that once it is watered, if you're using a cement bag, I'll use my own personal experience. I won't put more than two seedlings for, okay, to raise it for my nursery. I count, tomato seeds are also tiny a bit. I will count just 20 seeds. I won't put more than 20 seeds into the bag. I won't put more than 20 seeds into the bag. Yes, thank you. So you don't want overpopulation. You don't want, because once you have overpopulation, what it does is it reduces airflow and it will increase humidity. Imagine if you are in a taxi and then you put 8 people in that taxi and the windows are rolled up. The first thing anybody will start saying is, why are we breathing each other's air? Because the air circulation has reduced. And what that does is you will just find out you started sweating. And these plants are also living things. So poor air circulation will lead to increased humidity. So you must ensure your nursery also is well spaced out. You do not allow it to be overcrowded. You do not allow it to be damp. That's why you have spirogyra growing in some nurseries. So if you have spirogyra growing in your nursery, just harvest it. Go and turn it in where you're producing your compost. It becomes one of your compost materials. That's why I said you must get your hands dirty. So we'll talk about growing media. I think um, we will start we will start on this for others. You can use a bowl. You have your bowl, you have your bottles, you can use that. You have your potting bags. You even have your trays, your plastic trays. You can use your knife, put it in fire, or what do they call this thing now? Oh my! You can use it to drill holes in your plastic trays. Okay, how do we treat seeds? You can use neem cake to treat your seeds actually.
Soldering iron.
Sodium ion, God bless you, sir. I was going to my cupboard to bring it out and to remember the name. Oh my goodness. Sodium ion, thank you so much. So you can use your sodium ion to also make holes in the bucket. And by the time you get to compost preparation, um, we will see all that. So you can soak your you can treat your seed using fermented mixture of neem cake or coconut water. Will people be able to get this? Trichoderma, I don't think you'll be able to access this, so let me not go there. Except you have access to some research materials, but these are also abundant in the soil. I'll see how I can include this for other materials that we'll be treating. So you can use coconut water. You can use it to soak your seeds. You can use trichoderma. You can use buttermilk. Um, at least those three I know. Those three I know, and I've tried coconut water and trichoderma. I've used often and often. I think I'd like to stop here. So we will start here again. Dio Volente. We will start here next week, Friday. Okay, do we have anyone with any question? We have been able to look at seeds, seed source, features of quality seed, um, how to choose our seed, a little on seed rules and regulation and the agency that does that. I've talked about the buffer zone between the organic and conventional field. And I've also said one of the major aim for this masterclass is in organic tomato production because we are looking at sustainability. So please, I believe all we have said today, we are clear about it. Do we have any question, or is there anything that was said that seems ambiguous?
Okay. Good evening once again.
Good evening, sir.
Much as we can try to follow the lecture as it were. You mentioned posting of pictures,
Yeah.
or maybe picture speaks in
Somebody,
volume. Hello.
Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I said picture speaks in volume. So if we have pictures of some of these things or illustrations that will help us understand better before we get to the practical class where we'll see things physically. It will help us a long way to understand and be able to put to practice what we are being taught. Thank you.
Well noted, sir. Well noted, sir. So, coconut water, how do we treat ourselves with coconut water? Get your coconut water, put in your seeds. It helps in germination because of the hormones that it activates. Coconut water has cytokinin, auxin, and without going into our crop production 101, all these things have to do with cell division, root development, and all that. So, next class, I think I will start with that. How we can use all these things. I think this is what we are all here for. Temperature fluctuation affects seed viability. So once you open them from that pack or whatever container it is, you must know the quantity you need for whatever operation you want to do. So if you're doing an hectare for open pollinated seeds, you need 350 grams. So whatever quantity you have bought, some of them also just have a number. So once you open the seed and you take out the seeds you need and you put the rest back, seal them. You can put them, you don't also put them where you will have high humidity. High humidity is just a place where it that microenvironment has high temperature that will bring growth of moist. It becomes moist or warm or damp, and then the seeds begin to grow mold and they lose their viability. So you can do that. If you can also put them in the fridge, but you must ensure that it's not a fridge that today it is cold, tomorrow it is warm, next tomorrow it is cold, next tomorrow it is warm. That will make the seed go mad because it is putting on a coat, is removing the coat, is putting on the coat, is removing the coat. It will just get tired and lose its viability. I will tell reliable sellers of open pollination seeds. Okay, no problem. Okay, any further question? Sorry, sirs and Mars, I've taken 8 minutes of our time again. Any further question on that? I have noted we will start from there. We are on nursery for tomato production. We are on nursery and we have diverted to seed treatment. So I will start on that next week, Friday, Del Volente. In the meantime, please let's endeavor to go through our dashboard for the recordings. If you don't see, just indicate, and our IT personnel will ensure all that is settled. Sirs and Ma, I'd like to say it's been a delight
Thank you. Sorry,
doing
sir.
this
I
with you
have a
all.
question, sir.
Okay, Ma, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I want to ask if there is no fridge, but you have an upright freezer. Can the seed be
Yes.
stored in the freezer? Then is it only tomato seed or any seed?
It depends because you have what you call orthodox seeds and recalcitrant seeds. Some seeds can bear it, some
Okay.
seeds cannot bear it. Tomato seeds can bear it, pepper seeds can bear it. But you will have to put them in a container, in a plastic container, not directly in the freezer. I hope you get me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can put them in a plastic container and then cover them, seal them tightly, and then you put it. So they will not get frozen through that container. They will maintain, and because in seed storage we have short-term storage, medium-term storage, and long-term storage. You can do that for long time.
Okay.
You can keep that seed in that freezer, in that container. It can stay there for the next 6 months, 7 months, even 1 year.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm
You're
grateful, sir.
welcome, ma'am. It's been a delight doing this with you all. Let's make it a date next week, Friday. I'd like to say this also. The session will be started 5 minutes to 8 so that everyone can join. And at exactly 8:05, we will commence the class. I know everyone, we all have busy schedules, but we have indicated to do this and we paid a token to be here. Let's not allow our investment to waste. Lastly, I want us to do this. Earlier, it was put on the platform. I will say tomato, and then you will unmute your mic and say abundance, because we are saying no more to lack of tomato in Nigeria in our homes. So say tomato, say abundance.
Abundance.
Say
Yeah,
tomato,
abundance.
say
Say
tomato,
abundance.
say tomato.
Say abundance.
More have yourself a lovely, lovely night rest. See you
Wish
next
you
week,
the
Friday.
same. Good night, everybody.
Good night, sir. Sweet soundings,
Happy
everybody.
Sunday in advance.